All right, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here for Facebook Live from the Oneida Nation Reservation in Wisconsin. It's May 11th, and we've been here for 2 months now. The declaration of public health emergency and the Safer at Home order was March 12th, and tomorrow that'll be a full 2 months. We've experienced some tremendous change in the past 2 months, and it's going to continue to be stressful upon us, and we're going to continue our orders for now, but hopefully our restrictions are lifted carefully and in a very deliberate way so that we continue to protect our community. Our General Tribal Council meetings, which have been canceled, just a little statistic on that. On the average of our about 1,700 people who attend our meetings, more than 400 are older than 62. And 50 of them were coming out of Milwaukee for those meetings, which was quite the hotbed and still is the hotbed of COVID outbreaks. We would have been exposing nearly 500 of our citizens to an unprotected environment. And of our 17,000 Oneida enrolled citizens, we just can't afford to have that kind of exposure. And we can't afford to put those people at risk. So we did want to update you with that kind of information. That's what went into canceling those meetings. And we have to continue to look at those kinds of numbers and sustaining the Oneida Nation in every way that we can. We have to look at when and how we expose our Oneida citizens and the large portion of our vulnerable and elderly Oneidas. As for the election, we do have a general election coming, and it's going to be a great challenge as to how we can conduct an election in a very safe and sanitized environment. In our last general election, which was held in 2017, the primary had 719 voters, of which 220 voters were over 65. So that's a huge percentage of that. We have to be very careful. In the general election, there were 1,462 votes cast, of which 419 were over 65, and there were 150 people that voted in Milwaukee. We know that these are prompting the questions from our citizens regarding the primary and the general election. We also want you to know that the governmental entities that have to address these issues include the elected boards, the Oneida Election Board and the Oneida Business Committee. Wednesday, the Oneida Business Committee is scheduled to address amendments to the election law and subsequently a recommendation from the election board regarding the primary. So we'll try to get that information out, the results of those actions, as soon as possible. Also on our BC agenda is the approval of the casino plan. Now we want to assure you that before we open the doors of the casino, not just that the plans are adopted, but that we are fully prepared with our medical statistics and reviews. The condition of the testing, the condition of the active cases is also going to be a consideration. So just the fact that the plan is approved doesn't mean they're going to open the doors. They're approved, but they're going to be watching the conditions before they make that decision. So the rest of our segment today, we're going to talk about the our medical update from Debbie Danforth, the Director of Comprehensive Health, as well as we have an update on our school activities and our graduation more solidified. So without any further ado, Debbie, can we have our medical update, please?
Thank you, Bobby. Good afternoon. I want to start by just giving you an update in terms of the COVID epidemic as of today, both globally, nationally, within the state of Wisconsin, and then within our northeast Wisconsin region, and then of course through Indian Health Service, and of course here in Oneida. As of this morning, the number of COVID-19 cases reported are as follows. Globally, we're at 4,123,376 positive cases and 283,055 deaths. Within the United States, that number has jumped to 1,329,799 positive cases and over 79,528 deaths. Within the Indian Health Service, we're at 5,255 positive cases. The Navajo Nation being the toughest hit with 3,239 positive cases. The Phoenix area is 554 positive cases. The Albuquerque area is 353 positive cases. The Nashville area is 260 positive cases, and within the Bemidji area, which is Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, which is where we are located, there's 80 positive cases. For the state of Wisconsin, as of yesterday, there are 10,219 positives with 400 deaths. Hospitalizations are about 1,820, or approximately 18%, which has decreased from last week when the percentage was about 19%, and prior to that was at 23%, so we are heading in the right direction. For Brown County, we have 1,897 positives with 18 deaths. For Outagamie, we have 112 positives with 2 deaths. And for Oneida, for the Oneida Reservation, as of this morning, we have a total of 22 cases. 10 cases are in Brown County, with 2 of those currently in isolation. And for Outagamie County, we have 12, with 9 of those currently in isolation, but some of those are nearing the end of their isolation period. So we are seeing more positives, which is what we expected, because we're doing more testing. So testing continues to improve across the area, with the community test sites within Brown and Outagamie County opening this week. And as of today, all essential workers, including those essential workers who will be asymptomatic, meaning they don't have any symptoms, can be tested. All essential workers are now eligible for the free COVID-19 testing at the 2 county sites, which are at the Resch Center and the Casa Alvo Melanie sites. So you don't have to have symptoms. You can simply go there and be tested to get the results if you're considered an essential worker. Anyone who doesn't have any symptoms can be tested. Those sites are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 6 and Saturday from 10 to 3. And there's also a site opening at the Fox Valley Technical Center, who's also going to be available for essential workers. I don't have the times for those, but all of those sites will be open through Saturday, May 16th. We started our drive-through testing on April 29th, as I reported last week. We have seen an increase in the numbers that are coming through the drive-through testing site, and those drive-through testing requirements are still being required, so that patients do have to call the health center and get referred to the drive-through testing site with an appointment. And the basic reason that we are doing that is basically so that we can control traffic going through that drive-through testing, and we have some contact information that's required for us to report as part of the testing site. Last week, Governor Evers issued a mandated order to begin testing long-term care facilities throughout the state, and that includes all residents of the facilities and the employees. On 5/7 and 5/8, we implemented that testing for our long-term care facility, the Anna John Resident Centered Care Community. We tested a total of 147 workers in addition to the 40 residents that reside at the Anna John. We're currently getting those test results back. One of the drive-through test site teams actually went into the facility. It was a very smooth process. All of the workers were able to be tested, and then they went in and tested all of the residents as well. So as we get those results back, we're very hopeful that all of those are going to be negative, and we'll continue to update the community as we get those results. One of the things I just wanted to cover again is just to emphasize, we really, when people come into the facility, do not be offended by asking to take your temperature and asking you for the symptoms that you might be experiencing. We are doing this to protect you, to protect the community, but make sure that you wear your cloth masks or any kind of a facial covering when you come into the facility, because we want to make sure that everyone is safe. So continue to wear your masks, continue to sanitize, continue to disinfect and use hand sanitizer, and please, please continue to social distance. These measures are critical to continue to decrease the spread within our community. With that, I'll turn it over to Art.
Good afternoon. And first I'd like to begin with, as I did the last session that I was part of, a shout out to our Senior Strong 2020. And we have an update, a couple announcements that we'd like to make. I'll first start with our school system is broken up into 4 distinct areas. Phase through 2nd grade, we call that the Bear Clan House. Grades 3 through 5, we address them as the Wolf Clan House. And grades 6 through 8, we address them as the Turtle Clan House. And the high school, because we have all 3 clans in our clan council, that we address them as our more or less our clan council, all of our clans meeting together. With that being said, one of the items that we wanted to make sure that we mention to our parents, especially, and to our students, is that we're working on a closeout of the classrooms at the Turtle School and at the high school as well, and that the last week of May, pay attention to the high school and elementary Facebook page, because we'll be announcing the schedule for closeout. The intention is that it'll be a curbside. All the students' things will be put together into one bag, and we'll have staff there as well to assist you, and we'll have different days for different grade levels for that information to come forward, and you can pick up your students' items that might have been left behind when the school closed on March 16th. So we will make that announcement on Facebook and our student pages for all the people, parents and students alike, to be reminded about that time. Also, we wanted to make mention that, especially for the students and families, we did the morning announcements this morning, is that this is the last full week of school. A full week of school. This is the last week that you'll have classes Monday through Friday. The ensuing weeks, as we get closer to June 4th, we'll be 4 days a week in terms of our instruction, and we wanted to make mention that's always something to look forward to as well. I got a couple others shout outs that I want to make as well. One is from the K2 Bear Clan House. I had a virtual meeting with the staff this morning, and they asked me to make mention to all of the families of K2 to make sure that you know that your staff misses you, students. They wanted to say that to you and extend that, and I'm just the messenger that they wanted me to share that with you. At the 3-5 Wolf Clan House, the same message holds true. I checked with them, and they also wanted to make sure that they have virtual meetings with some of their students throughout the week, but they also wanted to take this opportunity, the staff of the Wolf Clan House, and make that shout out to all the students and families, to thank all the families for your hard work, and thank the students for your hard work in the Wolf Clan. The Turtle Clan, 6 through 8, in a similar way, they also wanted to, the staff wanted to extend that thank you to all the families, all the hard work that the students are putting in our Turtle Clan House, grades 6 through 8, in terms of the instructions that they do on a daily basis and the meetings that they have. And one additional shout out is to make sure, Turtle Clan House, that you are ready for your Google Meet, 3 o'clock this Wednesday on Google Meet. All students, all staff together for a meeting, just to see where everybody's at, make sure that we're able to see one another and extend those good greetings. My last shout out is to the high school students. In the same way, they have a Google Meet this Thursday at 3 o'clock. And one of the things that we did last week's session, just for the community, just for the families, and just for the students, that we recognized our students in the Turtle Clan and high school for their mid-quarter recognition. Usually we give them mid-quarter grades. This time we gave them the mid-quarter recognition and encouragement for the hard work that they've done virtually for this new form of learning, as I like to call it. This transition, we've been in emergency remote learning since March 16th, and we're now beginning the process of what we call systematic virtual learning. What we mean by that is that we're putting together a plan that will provide for us the scenario of what this will look like, and we might use this as part of our instruction because we've had great success with our students in that process as well of virtual learning. And finally, my last announcements and reminders is that August 13th, we are still headed towards a face-to-face graduation for our 8th grade students. We are going to practice social distancing. It will be at the Turtle School. We will probably find X's on the seats that we'll put so that's where people can sit. We'll mark them out so that we practice it and keep everybody safe. But primarily we want to make sure that we are celebrating together on August 13th for all of our 8th grade students that are graduating to 8th grade. And finally, the August 16th at the Radisson, we will also be practicing social distancing on that day for the high school graduation. As we went and looked at some of the different schools in the area, we see that there's virtual graduations, and after talking, as I mentioned last week, to students and to parents as well, and to staff, we are still on schedule for our August 16th graduation. And again, as I mentioned, social distancing will be emphasized, as well as we will be publishing at the end of the school year the number of people that each student can invite. And then finally, my last message is about the meals. I have a reminder that I wanted to share with you, that as we get towards the end of this, around that Memorial Weekend, and also the Cold Talkers Tribal Nation holiday, that we will be providing meals, double meals on that Thursday, and double meals on the following Tuesday for all of you families that partake and share in our meals that are provided in our sites. And again, I'll mention our sites: County H, the library in Site 1, Three Sisters, and the Norbert Hill Center. Those are our meal sites. And then finally, I mentioned the April totals. Our April total for our meals was 14,602 meals that were prepared during the month of April. When you combine that with our March and April meals, we're at 18,876 meals. And when you look at what that does for our community, it's the community taking care of the community. Ladik Sasun and Ladik Stehoko, from the youngest to the oldest. And so I just wanted to make mention of those, a couple of those announcements, and that to also for the community to make sure that as we look towards the closeout of this school year, that we understand this new way of learning. We understand that all of us together, that will make that difference. We are in this together. We remind our students 3 times a week in our announcements to all of our families and our parents that Galela Joslan and Hadakwadaze, then Skanad and Wanoktunyo, that the finest of feelings comes from how we encourage each other. And that courage to express that to one another is the strength within. It's the strength that will take care of our families, Ladik Sasu, Ladik Stehoko, from the youngest to the oldest, then Yungwahwa Jili, all of our families. That is what we say is a part of our continuing message that we share with all of our community, all of our families, all of our staff, and certainly all of our students.
Yeah, Uncle Art, and in wrapping up, there's a few things that I want to address. And congratulations on getting that testing done, Debbie, for our Anajan Nursing Home residents and for the staff there. And we get a lot of people who send us a message and says, you're in our prayers, thank you for the good words. And they're also asking for continued prayers for our students, for our families. So we want to say thank you for those prayers. Keep them coming in. We continue to need them. We want to say y'all won't go to our Oneida COVID warriors. We're asking you to send in more pictures so we can post them on our Facebook of our COVID warriors that continue to keep our businesses running and keep our operations going. The questions that come in, there's a lot of questions that come in. We ask you to stay on the subject matter. The individuals who are here are supposed to answer the questions germane to the areas that they work in. We don't have representatives from other areas to answer those questions. There's a lot of policies and procedures that go into how we do our business here, and we know people like to see things happen overnight, but that's not going to happen, and so please be patient with us. I also wanted to say that in upcoming segments we have the judiciary, retail division, employee assistance, and finance as to how the COVID pandemic has impacted those areas. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, there will be 4 F-16 fighting Falcons that will be doing flyovers in the Green Bay area. They're from the 115th Fighter Wing, and they're flying over the Green Bay area to show their support during this pandemic. They're showing support for all of our medical people, our truckers, our teachers who are doing it viral, cashiers, caregivers, police, fire, rescue, all those people who are continuing to keep our community safe. So 6 o'clock tomorrow, take a walk outside and watch the flyover. Please do not gather in large groups to watch that. Keep your social distancing intact as well as your limits of individuals. With that concludes our update today. On Friday, we will have representatives from the Oneida Judiciary. And in the meantime, continue to say your prayers, continue to support one another, continue to stay safe. Y'all won't go?